Time is a precious thing. It's always moving, always ticking. And the truth is, you can't pause it, you can't rewind it, but you can choose how you spend it. So I want to ask you something today. Are you ready to level up? There comes a moment in every person's life when they need to make a decision. A decision to rise above the doubts, the distractions, and the excuses. A decision to leave behind whatever has been holding them back and take a step forward. Now is that moment, because the future won't wait for you. The dreams you have, they don't have an expiration date, but they aren't going to chase you either. You see, it's easy to stay where you are in your comfort zone, where everything feels safe, but nothing great ever came from comfort zones. Growth demands change, it demands risk, it demands it demands stepping into the unknown. When you challenge yourself, you find out what you're truly made of. You discover strength you didn't even know you had. But you won't find it sitting on the sidelines, watching time slip through your fingers. Don't let fear be the reason you stay stuck. Don't let failure make you think you're not good enough. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of it. It's a stepping stone, a teacher. And sometimes it's that voice in your head that says, I've got to try again. I've got to push harder. So don't be afraid of falling. Be afraid of staying down. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is not talent. It's not luck, it's persistence. It's that daily grind, that choice to show up even when you don't feel like it, even when nobody's watching. That's the moment when champions are made. It's when no one's clapping for you, and yet you're clapping for yourself. You're showing up because you know you've got what it takes. And make no mistake, leveling up means sacrifice. It means cutting out the things that drain your energy, the things that keep you stagnant. It means staying focused when everyone else is getting distracted. It means saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's right. People might not understand your journey. They might question your choices. But let me tell you this, your vision isn't for them. It's for you. It's your dream, your path, your purpose. So don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. Don't let anyone put a limit on your potential. If you've got a fire inside you, fan that flame. Because the world needs people who are willing to go beyond what's expected, who are willing to do what it takes. Now, I know it's tough out there. Life will knock you down, but you're not here to stay down. You're here to get back up. And when you do, you'll come back stronger, wiser, more resilient. Every setback is a setup for a comeback, and this is your time. This is your time to rise, to push, to strive, to become the person you were meant to be. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the people who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. You owe it to the version of you who once dreamed of being where you are now. You owe it to the future you who's counting on you to make the right choices today. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep watching time fly by, or are you going to make every second count? Are you going to wait for the right moment, or are you going to create the right moment? It's time to level up. It's time to dig deep, to find that inner drive, and to take your life to the next level. Because at the end of the day, nobody else is going to do it for you. It's your journey, it's your story, so make it a story worth telling. This speech aims to be direct and inspiring, with an emphasis on pushing beyond limits and embracing personal growth. It reflects a sense of urgency and a call to action, encouraging the audience to take responsibility for their own progress. Let me ask you a question. How much longer are you going to sit on the sidelines waiting for the perfect moment? How much longer are you going to keep telling yourself, one day I'll get there? Because the truth is, there is no perfect moment. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. Life doesn't hand you the right opportunities. You've got to create them. You've got to decide right now that it's time to level up. See, the world is full of people who have dreams, people who have visions of what their lives could be. But only a few are willing to do what it takes to turn those dreams into reality. Why? Because it's hard. It's uncomfortable. It requires you to step into the unknown, to leave behind what's familiar, to risk failing. But the question is, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to push through the discomfort to become who you were meant to be? I'll tell you this, nobody's going to hand it to you. Nobody's going to wake you up at 5 a.m. and say, hey, it's time to grind. That's on you. It's your responsibility. If you want to change your life, you've got to change your mindset. You've got to start thinking like someone who refuses to settle, who refuses to accept average, who's hungry for more. Because when you change your mindset, you change your life. You've got to be willing to outwork everyone in the room, not because you want to prove something to them, but because you want to prove something to yourself. You want to know deep down that you gave it everything you had. And let me tell you, when you give it everything, when you push yourself to the limit, something incredible happens. You become stronger, you become wiser, you become someone you didn't even know you could be. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let doubt keep you from taking that first step, because fear is a liar. It whispers in your ear that you're not ready, that you're not good enough, that you'll never make it. But fear is just a barrier, and every barrier can be broken. Every wall can be knocked down. But you've got to take the swing. This is your time. Your time to step up. Your time to reach higher. Your time to become the best version of yourself. No more waiting, no more excuses. It's time to level up. You see, too many of us are waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the stars to align, waiting for some magical sign that says, now is your moment. But let me tell you something, there is no perfect time. There is no magical sign. That's just a story we tell ourselves to stay comfortable, to keep from taking that leap. Life isn't going to slow down and hand you what you want. It's not going to roll out a red carpet and say, here, everything's lined up just right for you. No, it's on you to step up, to stop waiting for permission, and to take what's yours. The truth is, the only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is your own hesitation. Every day you wait, every day you hold back, that's another day you let slip through your fingers. And guess what? Time doesn't care. Time keeps moving. The clock keeps ticking. Opportunities don't come wrapped up neatly. They show up disguised as hard work, as challenges, as moments that feel uncomfortable. You've got to stop thinking, one day when everything is just right, I'll go after my dreams, because that one day is today. That moment is now. You've got to decide that you're going to take action, not tomorrow, not next week, right now. That's how you turn your life around. That's how you level up. The people who succeed aren't the ones waiting for the right conditions. They're the ones who make the most out of whatever conditions they're given. They don't sit back hoping for a perfect moment. They create it. They take a step even when they're unsure. They move forward even when it's uncomfortable. They know that progress is better than standing still. So ask yourself, are you going to keep waiting for things to fall into place, or are you going to take a step forward right now, right where you are? Because that's the difference between those who dream about success and those who actually achieve it. It's the decision to act no matter what. Too many of us are stuck in a holding pattern. We sit around waiting for the perfect moment to come knocking on our door. We tell ourselves, once everything is in place, once I have enough money, once the timing is right, then I'll make my move. But let me tell you the hard truth, there's no such thing as the perfect moment. The stars aren't going to align just for you. Life doesn't come with a green light that says, go ahead, it's safe now. The truth is, while you're waiting, time is passing. While you're thinking, opportunities are slipping away. While you're hesitating, someone else is out there making things happen. They're taking the chances you're too afraid to take. They're making the moves you keep putting off. And that's why they're ahead. Because they stopped waiting and they started doing. Look, I get it. It's scary to take that first step when you don't know what's going to happen next. It's terrifying to walk into the unknown, not sure if you'll succeed or fail. But you've got to realize the fear of doing nothing should be greater than the fear of trying. Because every day you sit back, every time you say maybe later, that's a day you'll never get back. That's time you'll never recover. You've got to start thinking differently. You've got to start realizing that the right time is now. Not when things are easier, not when you have more resources, but right now with what you have. Because the people who succeed, they aren't the ones who had everything handed to them. They're the ones who took action with whatever they had. They're the ones who said, I'm not waiting around. I'm not letting another opportunity pass me by. They understood something simple but powerful. Momentum starts with movement. You've got to get out there, make mistakes, learn from them, and keep moving forward. You won't have all the answers, you won't feel fully prepared, but none of that matters. What matters is that you show up, that you put in the effort, that you decide, today is the day I stop waiting and start building my future. So don't sit around hoping for things to magically line up. Don't wait for a sign that may never come. Be your own sign. Be the one who takes the initiative. Be the one who decides right here, right now, that it's time to stop watching from the sidelines and start playing the game. Because that's how you win, by showing up before you feel ready, by taking action even when the path isn't clear. That's how you level up. Let's talk about comfort zones. You know, that place where everything feels easy, where you don't have to stretch yourself, where you feel safe. It's nice, isn't it? But here's the problem: nothing great ever comes from that place. Comfort zones are like a warm blanket on a cold morning. Sure, it feels good, but if you stay there too long, you're never going to get anything done. And let me tell you, growth doesn't happen where it's easy. Growth happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're pushing yourself beyond what you thought you could handle. You've got to embrace that feeling of being stretched, of being out of your depth. Because if you're not feeling uncomfortable, you're not challenging yourself. And if you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing. You're just staying the same day after day, year after year. And that's not what you're here for. You're here to evolve, to reach higher, to become more than you were yesterday. But that only happens when you step outside of what's familiar. You see, it's easy to stay where you know the rules, where you know the outcome. But when you step out of that, when you step into the unknown, that's where the magic happens. That's where you find out what you're made of. It's where you discover strength you didn't know you had, potential you never imagined. But you'll never find that strength sitting back in your comfort zone, playing it safe. Let me tell you something real. The path to your dreams is going to be uncomfortable. It's going to push you, it's going to test you, and it's going to make you question yourself. But that's exactly how you grow. That discomfort is like a weight in the gym, it's resistance. And just like lifting weights, the more resistance you push against, the stronger you get. The more you lean into that discomfort, the more you stretch yourself beyond what you thought was possible. And yeah, sometimes it's going to hurt. Sometimes you're going to feel like giving up because it's hard, because it's taking too long, because it's not going the way you thought it would. But that's when you've got to dig deep. That's when you have to remind yourself why you started, why you're pushing through the pain, through the fear, through the doubt. Because on the other side of that discomfort is growth. On the other side of that pain is progress. On the other side of that fear is everything you've been working for. So don't run from the discomfort. Embrace it. Let it teach you. Let it teach you. Let it mold you. Let it turn you into the person you're meant to be. Step into that space where you're not sure if you can make it, where you're not sure if you're good enough. Because when you push through that, you'll find out just how strong you really are. And that's when you realize you're leveling up. You're becoming more than you ever thought you could be. And that, my friend, is what it's all about. Let me tell you something. Everything starts in your mind. Every decision you make, every step you take, every goal you set, it all begins with how you think. If you want to change your life, you've got to change your mindset. Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if your mind isn't right, if your thoughts are filled with doubt, fear, and negativity, you'll never get to where you want to be. You've got to stop thinking like someone who's okay with being average. Stop thinking like someone who's fine with just getting by. Instead, you need to start thinking like a winner, like someone who refuses to settle, who refuses to accept anything less than their best. You need to see yourself as capable, as deserving, as someone who's willing to put in the work, no matter how tough it gets. You see, too many people out there have dreams, but they don't have the mindset to back them up. They let fear talk them out of trying. They let doubt convince them they're not good enough. But I'm telling you, you have to shift that thinking. You have to wake up every morning and say, I am built for this. I have what it takes. I'm going to make it happen, no matter what. Because when you change your mindset, you change the way you approach challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, you start seeing them as opportunities. You start seeing setbacks as setups for something greater. You stop letting small failures keep you down, and instead you use them as fuel to push harder. That's the kind of thinking that separates those who dream from those who achieve. And understand this, your thoughts shape your actions. If you believe you're limited, if you believe you're stuck, that's exactly where you'll stay. But when you believe that you're capable, that you're worthy of more, that you're ready to put in the work, your actions start to match that belief. You stop wasting time, you stop making excuses, and you start moving like someone who's got a purpose, someone who's got a mission. It's not about being arrogant, it's about being confident. It's about knowing that you have the power to shape your own destiny. It's about understanding that you're not a victim of your circumstances, you're in control. You're the driver, not the passenger. And once you start thinking like that, once you start seeing yourself as someone who can make things happen, there's nothing that can stop you. You've got to program your mind for success. Feed it with positivity, feed it with discipline, feed it with the belief that you can overcome anything. Because when your mind is strong, when your mind is focused, there's no mountain too high, no challenge too big, no dream too far out of reach. So take a hard look at how you're thinking. Are you thinking like someone who's ready to level up, or are you thinking like someone who's content with where they are? Because the moment you change your mindset, the moment you decide that you're going to think bigger, work harder, and aim higher, that's the moment your life starts to change. That's the moment you take that first step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. Let's talk about hard work. You know, it's a term people like to throw around, but do you really understand what it means? I'm not talking about showing up and doing just enough to get by. I'm talking about outworking everyone in the room. I'm talking about pushing yourself past your limits, staying late when everyone else has gone home, waking up before the sun because you've got something to prove, not to them, but to yourself. You see, real success, the kind that lasts, doesn't come from shortcuts. It doesn't come from wishing, hoping, or waiting for things to fall into place. It comes from grinding day in and day out. It comes from those days when you don't feel like it, but you show up anyway. It's when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when it feels like nothing's going your way, but you keep going. Because that's the difference between those who make it and those who don't. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be great. But not everybody is willing to do what it takes to get there. Not everybody is willing to make the sacrifices. You've got to be willing to pay the price, to put in the hours, to go above and beyond, even when nobody's watching. Because that's when it counts the most, when the cameras aren't rolling, when the applause is faded, when it's just you and your effort. You see, the world is full of talented people who never reached their potential. They had the skills, they had the gifts, but they didn't have the grind. Talent can only take you so far. What's going to push you past your limits, what's going to get you up when you're knocked down, is your work ethic. It's that relentless drive to be better, to do more, to give everything you've got, and then dig a little deeper to find just a bit more. And here's the thing, hard work doesn't guarantee success, but it does guarantee growth. Every time you push yourself, every time you go a little harder, you get stronger. You become tougher. You build character. And that's something nobody can take away from you. You might not always get the results you want right away, but you'll always be better than you were yesterday. And that's how you keep moving forward. That's how you keep leveling up. When you outwork everyone, it's not about competing with them, it's about competing with yourself. It's about setting a new standard for who you are and what you're capable of. It's about looking in the mirror at the end of the day and knowing you gave it everything you had. That you left it all on the field, that you didn't hold anything back. It's not easy, and it's not supposed to be. If it were, everybody would do it. But that's what separates the winners from the rest. It's not talent, it's not luck. It's that willingness to do the hard stuff, to make the sacrifices, to put in the time when nobody else is willing to. It's that mindset that says, I'll do whatever it takes for as long as it takes until I get there. So ask yourself, are you willing to outwork everyone? Are you willing to put in the hours, the sweat, the sacrifices to get to where you want to be? Because if you are, then there's no limit to what you can achieve. You'll find that the harder you work, the luckier you get. And when you reach that point where your effort meets your ambition, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when you truly level up. Let's talk about fear. It's that voice in the back of your mind that whispers, you're not ready, you're not good enough, what if you fail? Fear is tricky like that. It'll have you second guessing every decision, keeping you locked in place, stuck in the same spot. It's that invisible wall that stands between where you are and where you want to be. But let me tell you something, real fear is a liar. Fear is nothing but a barrier you put up yourself. And just like any barrier, it can be broken down. You see, fear has a way of making itself look bigger than it is. It wants you to believe that the risk isn't worth it, that it's safer to stay where you are. But that's how it keeps you small. That's how it keeps you from discovering what's on the other side of your comfort zone. It's not the fear itself that's dangerous. It's letting it control you. It's letting it make your decisions for you, letting it talk you out of opportunities, letting it keep you from taking that leap. And here's the thing, everybody's afraid. Everyone faces doubts, uncertainties, moments when they wonder if they're really cut out for this. But the ones who make it, the ones who rise above, they don't let that fear hold them down. They feel it, but they move forward anyway. They know that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's pushing through it. It's looking fear in the eye and saying, you don't control me, you don't decide my future. I do. Because on the other side of fear, there's growth, there's potential. There's the person you could be if you just step through that fear instead of backing away. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down, feeling your stomach turn, but knowing that if you take that jump, you just might fly. You just might find out that you're stronger than you thought, braver than you knew, and capable of so much more than you ever imagined. Fear is just an obstacle, a test. It's there to see if you're really serious about what you want. It's there to challenge you, to make you prove how bad you want it. Are you willing to face it? Are you willing to feel that discomfort, to step into the unknown, to embrace the uncertainty? Because if you are, then you'll find that fear is just a gatekeeper. It only has power if you give it power. Once you confront it, once you step through it, you'll look back and realize that it was never as big as it seemed. Think about this, how many dreams have died because of fear? How many people have talked themselves out of greatness because they were too afraid to fail, too afraid of what others might say, too afraid of the unknown? Don't let that be your story. Don't let fear write the ending of your book. You've got to take that first step, even when your legs are shaking. You've got to move forward, even when your mind is filled with doubts. Because every step you take through that fear, you get stronger. Every time you face it, you take its power away. And soon enough, you'll find that the things that used to scare you don't scare you anymore. You'll find that what once seemed impossible now feels within reach. That's when you realize you've leveled up. That's when you understand that the only thing standing between you and your dreams was fear, and now it's behind you. So don't let it hold you back any longer. Face it, challenge it, break through it. Because on the other side of fear is everything you've been waiting for. So when it's all said and done, it comes down to a choice to stop waiting for the right time and start right now, to step outside your comfort zone, to reshape your mind into one that refuses to settle. It's a decision to put in the work when no one's watching, to outlast, outfight, and outwork everyone around you. And most of all, it's the decision to face down your fears, to push through them, and not let them dictate the path you take. This is your time to level up, to reach for more, to become the person you've always known you could be. Don't let anything hold you back, not the doubts, not the setbacks, and definitely not the fear. Because everything you want, everything you've been working toward is on the other side of that effort, that discomfort, that courage. It's time to take that step, to rise up, and to show the world and yourself what you're truly made of. The time is now. The time is yours.